Flores.
And I'm Staff Sergeant Flores, and this is Huntington Beach Hair Buns.
We are from the Huntington Beach Recruiting Company in Southern California.
We are back today with Sergeant Major Winston Castillo. Sergeant Major Castillo has been in the Army 22 years and currently serves as the SoCal Battalion Sergeant Major.
Sergeant Major Castillo, thank you for joining us and letting our viewers learn a little bit about your life and your career.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Sergeant Major Castillo, can you tell our viewers a little bit about your life and career?
I was born in Matagalpa, Nicaragua, Central America. Born and raised. My father, he died in combat in 1979, fighting the Somoza dynasty. So during the 80s, Nicaragua went into war again after the revolution, and my mom didn't want me to join the army. So I immigrated to Costa Rica, and then from Costa Rica I immigrated to the United States. I always believed in service to country. I appreciate what this country's done for me and my family, all the opportunities that we have gotten here, and our way back to give to this country was to serve. So I tried when I was in high school as a senior to enlist, but I didn't have my green card. So I went to college for a couple of years, and finally I got my green card. So I went and enlisted in the Army. I went in as a infantryman. Okay. After serving as an infantryman, being deployed to Afghanistan, Iraq, and my firstborn, Winston, he was born in 2004. I went and decided to reclass reclass to 79 Romeo after getting custody of them. Okay, I got remarried. Now I'm married to my beautiful wife Andrea Castillo. She's from Colombia, and then we have two little girls, Ivanka Castillo and Danica Castillo. My son, of course, Winston. So they're 16. 9 and 5. Okay.
You're busy.
And it's I say it was hard at first because I always put the Army first. So I didn't know how to balance the family and the Army life. So that's something that I learned throughout my career and throughout mistakes I made. So that's something that I want to advise soldiers not to do the same mistakes I did. So I've been married 3 times.
All right, Sergeant Major, now we want to ask you some questions about your career and family to really get to know the man behind the actual rank.
What influenced your decision to join the Army, and what goals did you have coming into the Army?
Well, my dad, that was a big influence. My dad and my whole family, because they fought in the war against the dictator in Nicaragua. So it was always in my mind that I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to become a soldier. So that really influenced, me wanting to serve. So that was my biggest influence, my family.
Did you have any goals coming in, like I'm going to do this for 20 years? Did you know from the beginning, or did you kind of develop those along the way?
Well, my first enlistment was just 3 years. I went, let me go serve 3 years, and if I make it to sergeant, I'll re-enlist again. So I went and came in as a private, and got promoted at 24 months to sergeant. So okay, let me re-enlist again, and that's what kept me going. And it's been 22 years now.
All right. Why was it important for you to join the Army? Was it just solely based off of your father himself?
Service to country. Plain and simple, was just service to country. Was a way to give back, to this great nation. I've been in different countries, seen different, areas in the world, and we're one of the best nations out there. We have a lot of opportunities, and it's there for us to utilize them and make better for our families.
So when you were looking to join the military after you got your green card, what made you gravitate more towards the Army versus other branches?
The Army offered me the job I wanted. So when I talked to my recruiter, Sergeant Rosas Benavides, that was his name, medic. So he talked to me. He showed me, hey, this is what the jobs the Army have. When I went to MEPS, they offered me a few jobs, and I just told the guy, look, I want to be an infantryman, and that's what I got, plain and black and white in a contract, so.
That's awesome.
Okay. How has your Nicaraguan background influenced your career? As a Nicaraguan is, I guess, the pride, of representing my background, so throughout my Army career, I didn't want to let down the Nicaraguan people, so that's what kept me going, so that's what let me do where I'm at right now, make sure that I was doing the right thing, always staying humble. If I didn't know something, I ask. There's no shame in asking, and it was just the pride of it, I'm a Nicaraguan, I'm the United States Army, let me represent my nation so people can see the Nicaraguan people are hard workers, and they come here and want to serve as well.
I'm going to change this question up a little bit because you kind of touched on it already, but while on your path through the Army, we know that you changed from being an 11 Bravo to a 79 Romeo, and that your son kind of drove that decision for you. But what made you go 79 Romeo versus any other MOS?
Well,
Do you just love recruiting?
I didn't have the guidance when I was, going through my child custody battle and everything like that. So recruiting was the opportunity right there. Recruiting was like, okay, 79 Romeo, I can stay with my son, make sure he's taken care of. So I didn't know if there was any other opportunities in the Army at that time, because I was just infantry. So when the moment came for me to go through the child custody battle and everything like that, 79 Romeo MOS was right there. So they offered me, and I see the opportunity they gave me to be with my kid, and I took it.
Were you on recruiting detail before that happened? Like, were you DA selected for recruiting, or did you volunteer to come out?
I was DA selected. Yeah, I was DA selected. Yeah, and I was in Lubbock, Texas. Recruiting in Lubbock, Texas, when all that happened. So that's when I reclassed to 79 Romeo, and then I became an SF recruiter. Then became the SWORD. So I became part of the SWORD, the Special Operation Recruiting Battalion. I was assigned to Fort Riley, Kansas, and then from Fort Riley, Kansas, I went to Fort Hood to take over that recruiting team as well. After that, the U.S. Army Parachute Team, Sergeant Major Manis contacted me that I was going to become a part of the Golden Knights. So I went to the Golden Knights, spent there, I think it was 3 years. After that, I took over Baton Rouge Recruiting Company, got selected to go to the academy, Sergeant Major Academy. Went to Syracuse Recruiting Battalion as the Up Sergeant Major. I was there for 10 months, and then I'm here with you all.
That's cool.
All right, so now that you've talked about some of these locations, some of these assignments and opportunities that you've had, what would you say are some of your favorite places you've actually been assigned to out of those?
I love the 82nd. I love the 82nd Airborne Division. My brothers and sisters we had over there, is the deployments, I guess, made us tighter.
Yeah.
And then being with the Golden Knights, that was an awesome assignment. Learning how to skydive, jumping out of 14,500 feet. So it was an excellent experience. And I will do it again in a heartbeat.
That's awesome. Who would you say is your most influential role model throughout your career?
Throughout my career, I would say Command Sergeant Major retired Michael Berry. He was my platoon sergeant when we were in the 82nd. We got deployed with him, and he took care of soldiers. He was a servant leader. So him, as well as Command Sergeant Major Holland, T.J. Holland, another person. Servant leadership, always taking care of soldiers, making sure the morale of the soldier was good, being firm, but as well just, and that's what I admire about those leaders. And really, I have molded my leadership to those type of leaders.
What was your experience between family and career? I remember we were talking about that earlier, and how some of the mistakes that you've made. What advice would you give to some of the soldiers that we have under your command, and some of the future soldiers and viewers that are potentially going to join down the line, as well, as far as balance?
You have to find that balance. You have to find that balance. Early in my career, I'll say my first 10 years, I was just focused on the Army, and I ignored, relationships, because my focus was just my career. After I got custody of my son, finally I established, you weren't ever gonna find that perfect balance, but I established that balance of, okay, when it's time to go home, you spend time with your families, you go on vacation, play with your kids, go out with your wife, take her, to dinner. Small things like that help. I've been married now with my wife for 10 years, and she's always been there for me. And when I retire, she's gonna be there for me. My kids are gonna be there.
Awesome.
So that's the balance. Don't ever ignore your family, your kids, your wife, your spouse. Don't ever ignore them. A career is important, but for me, family is first.
Have you been able to continue your education while you've been in the Army?
Yes, I got my master's degree from the University of Texas in El Paso when I was going through the Sergeant Major's Academy. So I always found a way to at least take throughout my career 1 or 2 classes, a semester, and then my mentors always pushing me, get your education, and I appreciate what they did for me, because I went and got a master's degree, so.
What's your master's in?
It's in the Defense and Strategic Studies.
Oh,
so.
Okay. How much did you have to come out of pocket for that?
For my bachelor's, I didn't come out of the packet. For my master's, it was only $500. That was it.
So TA and
TA covered everything, and it was my last class was the one that the fiscal year was ending, so I just have to pay that extra $500.
That's not bad. Yeah. What was the most challenging aspect of being a command sergeant major, or what is the most challenging aspect of it?
Well, the most challenging aspect, I'm still learning. You always learn. You don't come to any position in the Army, or I think in life, already knowing it. So I think me learning the position that I'm in right now. But for me, soldiers come first. The NCOs in this battalion come first, because I believe that if you take care of soldiers, they'll take care of the rest. Plain and simple. And like you guys know, you guys got my personal phone, so I'm always here, to talk if you guys need to talk to me. I'm a very approachable person, so that's the thing, learning, because systems, because system, dealing with maps, the military entry processing station, stuff like that. We always learning, so you never stop learning. You never stop learning.
Very nice. What has kept you motivated and driven through the last 22 years?
My family and soldiers. Taking care of soldiers, is what keeps me motivated. Make sure that they're taken care of. Make sure that their family's taken care of. That they're doing the right thing for their career. When it comes to professional development, going to schools, making sure that they're developing their soldiers as well. And of course my family. Make sure that I'm there for them. My kids wrestling tournaments, jiu-jitsu or track. All not miss those times, because if you miss those special events of your children's, they don't come back. So try not ever to miss those.
If you could brag on yourself for a minute, what story would you tell our viewers?
Well, yeah, maybe not bragging, but I say learning how to skydive. I loved it, and I'm not gonna lie. JP Barantes, he was my instructor at the Golden Knights. Awesome guy. When he took me, under his wing, and he was teaching me how to skydive, he used to laugh. He used to make jokes because I used to grab the door of the plane so hard that my hand would turn white.
White knuckle.
Because I didn't want to fall out of the plane. So he's like, "Hey, Winston, why are you grabbing the door so hard?" Like, "Man, I don't want to fall." And well, that's what you're gonna be doing. Well, I want to throw myself out, not fall. But it was, excellent experience. Learning from the best. The Golden Knights are, for me, the best parachute team there is. I was learning from the specialists all the way to the E7s. Always learning, and staying humble. Again, staying humble. Being a servant leader. And I think that's something I can brag. Because I learned how to skydive. I learned how to land the right way. How to relax. Because I used to tense up a lot, so I used to go like this, potato chip all the time. But JP Barantes, he showed me how to relax while we were doing maneuvers up there. So.
We're going to take a brief break and hear from one of our local Huntington Beach recruiters.
Hey everybody, my name is Alokoa. I'm from the island of Guam. I'm married with 3 kids. I've been in the Army for 8 years. My job in the Army is an Infantryman, 11 Bravo. The reason why I joined the Army is service to country. I come from a long line of traditional people serving in my family, so I thought I'd put myself in this uniform and serve this great country. Any of you guys ever want to come down and talk more about myself, about the Army, feel free to come down to the station and hit me up.
Okay, welcome back everybody. Sergeant Major, because of your 22 years of service, we want to get your take on kind of the evolution of leadership that you've seen in the Army from when you joined until now, and the need for adaptable leaders across the force.
All right, so in my experience, we have become a long way. I think the Army spearheads change when it comes to leadership, to way of leading people. But since, let's say, I came in '99, so there wasn't that much diversity, and there was a lot of counterproductive leadership or toxic leadership. And for me, toxic and leadership don't mix. Either you're toxic or you're a leader. There's no combining those two. But that's just how I view it. I had, like I said before, I was lucky enough to have great leaders as Michael Berry, and then not good leaders that I won't even mention their names, that
you don't want to be like them. You know, when you see those type of leaders, you know, or those toxic individuals, soldiers are not loyal to those individuals. You know, and you want to get the buy-in from soldiers. You want to get their loyalty. You know, and the only way to gain that loyalty from the soldier is being a servant leader. You know, the higher we go on rank, the more servant we become. Okay, like now, as a command sergeant major, my responsibility is to make sure that all you guys have everything that you need to make mission. You know, so that it comes from printers, laptops, whatever you need. You know, make sure that you have it. Make sure that the staff is there to support you. Just, you know, in the infantry, guess what? We got to make sure that the soldiers got their equipment, their M4, their ammunition, you know, everything that they need to go and clear a room, go set up an ambush or whatever it is. But I think we have come a long way, you know, since I was a private till now. We still got a lot to improve, but we are heading the right direction. You know, we're heading the right direction, and I think especially here in USAREC, you know, I think the younger the leaders are, they are more adaptable, the better it's going to be for USAREC, you know, because the bad leadership before is already retiring or they're in their final days, you know, but I think that's going to improve as well, you know, what we are as an organization, you know, so we have to be adaptable. We have to adapt with time.
Absolutely.
We kind of got into that. Let's move on to the next one.
So we're going to jump into some questions now about the topic. What does leadership mean to you? Like, how do you view it and hold it in your mindset of the Army?
All right, leadership to me is making sure that soldier's taken care of. Okay, making sure that soldier is doing the right thing. And when I say taking care of, it's not babying the soldier. Okay, and it's being firm. You know, make sure that they're doing the right thing. Set the example. I would never have a soldier do something that I have never done myself before. You know, if you're gonna go, okay, let's go do physical fitness. You have to be there with your soldiers. You have to go do the 12-mile rock march. You know, go run, CrossFit or whatever it is. You have to set the example. You may not be as fast as the soldier because we get older. You know, I cannot run the same way, you know, that I used to run before, or I cannot rock march at the same pace that I used to do it before. But the soldier wants to see that leader being present, and we cannot lead from behind a computer either. You know, we have to be present. We have to show our face. We have to be open for them to ask questions, hard questions. You know, and if we don't have the answer, you know, we have to go look for the answer and bring it back to them. So, because we're not perfect, we don't know everything. I don't know everything, you know. But if a soldier asks me if I don't know it, I make sure that I go back, research, and bring him the right answer. You know. But main thing is just setting the example. You know, it's not what is the saying? Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, not doing that. You know, you gotta set the example. Everything, you know, in life, as a person, as a soldier, you have to always set the example. And soldiers will see that, because soldiers will know when you're faking the funk,
Yeah.
when you're not genuine. You know,
when you just checking the block asking to see how they're doing. You know, they see through you if you're not truthful. Yeah. So just be yourself, be humble, and always lead from the front, and always learn. Yeah, always learn.
What are the most important values of leadership to you?
The values will be integrity. You know, for me, being having integrity and leader of character. You know, when you, let's say when we recommend punishment, right? When we recommend punishment, you have to see if the soldier did that mistake. You know, if it was a mistake or if he did it purposely. You know, you have to look and see, okay, it was a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. We're not perfect, so everybody's going to make mistakes at one point in their career. You know, but if that soldier is doing that willingly, then you have to recommend the right punishment. You know, so sometimes just having that talk with that soldier, you know, having that human factor goes a long way. You know, goes a long way than just trying to hammer that soldier.
So would you say being an empathetic leader is crucial?
Yes, it is. It is.
How's your leadership style evolved and changed from your transition from being conventional Army to now being in the USAREC world?
It haven't changed.
Okay.
It haven't changed. I'm always the person you see here is the person I was, you know, 20 years ago.
That's awesome.
You know, I have never changed, and I'm never gonna change. You know, that's who I am. That's the way I believe. You know, those are my values. So I'm stayed the same way.
So that kind of rolls right into our next question. In regards to, does your like personal thought process and the way you handle yourself outside of the Army really affect your leadership philosophy in the Army?
Yes.
Because you know, some people, they take off their uniform and they're a totally different person outside of the Army, but you've been in the Army a long time. I feel like they kind of meld together at some point.
Yeah. When I take this uniform, I'm the same person. When I put this uniform, I'm the same person. The only thing that changes is the title. When I have this uniform, I'm Command Sergeant Major Castillo. You know, when I'm out of this uniform, hey, I'm Winston Castillo. But nothing changes. Nothing changes.
That's awesome to hear.
What do you think the future of the leadership within the Army itself is going to look like in the future?
I think the future is going to be way better because we have a smarter force now. You know, talent management has improved a lot. You know, soldiers now come in with, you know, very knowledgeable, you know, just because technology. I didn't have a clue how to use, you know, social media and stuff like that. You know, but soldiers are way smarter. They, you know, are more focused on developing themselves when it comes to education. You know, so I think we have a way smarter force, you know, than when I first came in. You know, the Army has focused on developing our soldiers when it comes to education. So when they leave the Army, they are competitive in the civilian sector.
Good. Do you feel that as you become more senior and come up through the ranks, it's a little bit easier or a little bit difficult to actually affect change within your own command itself?
Okay, I'll say now here in SoCal Battalion, I think it's harder because we are so spread apart. You know, so the influence have to come from the battalion commander, myself, to the first sergeant, to the station commander, and then to the NCOs, you know, in recruiting duties. But I think that, you know, you still affect change, but not as much as when you are right there in front of those NCOs. You know, you have to be present.
Yeah, you have to be present, and when you become a command sergeant major, especially right now here in so-called Bataan, our area of operation it is so large that we want to hit every station, talk to every soldier, but it's hard. It's hard, and we have to depends on the first and the company commanders, the station commanders, and you guys, for our message to come down, to your level.
Okay. And I understand it's you're 3 levels removed. What we got, like Redlands. We're the closest, just being here, Lake Forest, Mission V, Huntington Beach, things. Like we appreciate you coming down, and I'm pretty sure whenever you go to other recruiting stations with the battalion commander, like they love to see you guys there, which is awesome that you guys are making that effort to actually go out there and see them.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So we've talked a lot about how your leadership style and your personal life, they're the same. You're the same person when you're in and out. Have you noticed at all that your leadership style has adapted from, Sergeant Castillo to Command Sergeant Major Castillo?
I guess I'm more patient now. I'm more calm.
Do you think that's because of a newer generation that didn't grow up in the Army? Even I necessarily, coming in 10 years after you, didn't grow up the same way in the Army that you did. Do you think it's because of the newer generations that have come in?
I think so. Yeah. With the new generation, you have to be more deliberate when you want to send your message, when you talk to them. Back in the days, they just say, do this, do that. It got done. Now you have to make sure that you're explaining, and giving the proper guidance on what has to be done and why it's getting done.
Can you also attribute that to your children? Because I know when coming up through the ranks, I was less patient, as you were just talking about beforehand. When I married my wife Jamie here, I fell in with 2 daughters, and now I had to realize that I have to explain why I'm telling them to do certain things versus, hey, I need you to do this. I couldn't talk to them the same way. So my leadership style had to do a 180.
Yes, it does. Kids, my son and my girls, they have taught me a lot. And like you said, you just stated, you have to switch your type of leadership. You cannot just go, hey, go do this, go do that. You gotta make sure you stop thinking like you're the 40-year-old man talking to a 5-year-old. You have to get to their level and like explain to that 5-year-old, hey, this is why we gotta do this, because they'll ask you back, wild questions, and you're like, oh, sometimes you don't know how to respond back. But it has helped me a lot, with my kids, and how do I go and communicate also with soldiers, and patience, and back in the days, I didn't think before I speak, sometimes I still, do it, but now I'm more, I guess,
more mindful.
Before I say something.
Before you retire, what's one thing that you'd want to see implemented across USAREC from the leadership perspective?
Before I retire, hopefully, we can stop calling non-commissioned officers and USAREC recruiters, because we are non-commissioned officers. We are leaders. We lead teams, squad, platoons. So hopefully that term of recruiter, gets deleted from our vocabulary, and it's just we address NCOs or NCOs, or we come out with another term, like maybe career scouts, or because we're scouting civilians to become part of the Army, to do a job or a career in the Army. So hopefully, in the future that changes and we get rid of the term recruiter.
So, this is going to be our last question, but from all of your 22 years of experience, what advice or knowledge would you like to impart on the next generation of current soldiers and future soldiers?
Be humble, you know, always learn, and be a servant leader. Never forget where you came from. You know, never forget that you were a private, what you had to do as a private, you know, then you became a corporal or a sergeant. Never forget that. Never forget the obstacles that you went through. You know, so always stay humble, always learn, and take care of soldiers. Take care of soldiers because they're gonna take care of the rest.
Sergeant Major Castillo, thank you so much for joining us and letting us interview you and sharing your little bit about your life, your career, and the advice that you've imparted on the future soldiers.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you for having me here. Appreciate it.
If you'd like to see this interview in Spanish, stay tuned.